coming in hot. Vice President Kamala Harris stepping into unfriendly territory and doing a nearly half-an-hour interview with Fox News. And it was heated from the very first moment. Didn't start in like slow and sort of friendly. No, from the very first moment till the very end.
How many illegal immigrants would you estimate your administration has released into the country over the last 3.5 years?
Well, I'm glad you raised the issue of immigration because I agree with you. It is a topic of discussion that people want to rightly have. And you know what I'm going to talk about.
Yeah, but
right
do you,
now,
just a number. Do you think it's 1 million, 3 million?
Brett, let's just get to the point.
So your Homeland Security Secretary said that 85% of apprehensions.
I'm not finished. We have an
it's a rough estimate of 6 million people have been released into the country. And let me just finish. I'll get to the question. I promise you.
I was beginning to answer.
And when you came in ship for the
yes, ma'am. May I finish responding, please?
All right, that was right from the beginning. It was tense, and it continued. At one point, Harris, visibly angry, she was railing against Trump and his threat to target what he has called the enemy from within.
He's the one who talks about an enemy within, an enemy within, talking about the American people, suggesting he would turn the American military on the American people.
We asked that question to the former president today. Harris Faulkner had a town hall, and this is how he responded.
I heard about that. They were saying I was like threatening. I'm not threatening anybody. They're the ones doing the threatening. They do phony investigations. I've been investigated more than Alphonse Capone. He was the greatest gangster. No, it's true. No, but think of it. It's called weaponization of government. It's a terrible thing.
So,
Brett, I'm sorry, and with all due respect, that clip was not what he has been saying about the enemy within that he has repeated when he's speaking about the American people. That's not what you just showed.
Well, he was asked about that specific...
No, that's not what you just showed. In all fairness and respect to you...
that was the question that we asked him.
You didn't show that, and here's the bottom line. He has repeated it many times, and you and I both know that. And you and I both know that he has talked about turning the American military on the American people. He has talked about going after people who are engaged in peaceful protest. He has talked about locking people up because they disagree with him. This is a democracy. And in a democracy, the President of the United States, in the United States of America, should be willing to be able to handle criticism without saying he'd lock people up for doing it. And this is what is at stake.
All right, the clenched teeth, the passion, Harris not backing down from a fight. And, you know, you talk about an interview like this, nearly 30 minutes. There's a reason she chose to do this, and there is a lot at stake in an election that the polls show to be neck and neck. So the question is, what did this interview do, and did it win Harris any new votes? All right, and everyone is here with me now to talk about that. So let me ask you about that, Congressman Rose. What do you think in terms of her doing this? I mean, she went in this eyes wide open. Sure. I mean, so let's just say, I don't know how much time Bret Baier was given in the interview, but he didn't start off with a general question. He started right in on immigration, and she came right back. I mean, there was no sort of pretense at geniality.
There was no build-up.
No.
And, you know, we had a fascinating conversation about 30 minutes ago, right? You know, because this is fresh. This was an hour ago. And you know, my friend is saying, oh, this was horrible. It was horrible. She did horribly, this and that. I thought that was an absolute home run because the audience...
This friend right here next to you that you're talking about?
This friend right here. So, oh, my God, it was a fire. It was a massacre. No, that was a home run because she sent the one message that needs to be sent, which was, I will go anywhere at any time and show the courage necessary to speak to every American, because that's what a real president does. The primary critique against her prior to this point was that she was not doing enough interviews. No one thought that the Fox News interview was going to go swimmingly every step of the way. Everyone knew it would be adversarial, but she showed exactly what she needed to show, which was that she is a leader ready to be president on day one.
Did he just convince you?
No, and I love Max. He's a great guy. The reality is she's just now doing this. I told the former congressman, if I were advising the vice president, I would not have advised this unless my internals suggested that I was in trouble. You're looking to appeal to, I assume, some maybe moderate-leaning Republicans, maybe some Republicans who aren't necessarily tied to the former president. I don't think she persuaded them, Aaron, to vote for her in this debate. Her answers on immigration, she said, well, Donald Trump tanked the bill. Let's say you believe that. And Bret Baier said, but what about the first 2 years, where in the first 2 years you had the highest crossings of illegal crossings into the country? And then she said, but Donald Trump. She didn't answer. He then asked her, well, what about your position on supporting taxpayer dollars for gender transitions for those detained, migrants that is? She said, well, Donald Trump had a similar law when he was president. Bret said, okay, that's fair, Madam Vice President, but it didn't occur under the Trump administration. What about your position? She didn't answer it. There were a lot of unanswered questions. I'll give her credit. She was stern, she was firm in her defense of her positions. But in terms of persuading conservatives or Republican-minded voters, I'm just not convinced she did it.
Lulu, what do you think the point of it was, though? I mean, is it perhaps that she wasn't trying to persuade any voters, that she's looking for clips of this to go around and energize voters she already has to show up?
I was about to say, hello, my friends. I disagree with both of you because I hate to break up such a lovely bromance, but what happened here is as follows. She went into hostile territory, and in our media environment, it's a Rorschach test. And so everyone's going to take from this what they want. There were very strong moments that she had, specifically on defending democracy and on the statements that Donald Trump has made, and that is going to be clipped, and that's going to be sent around, and people who are persuadable will look at that and say, she did well. And there are going to be clips on her responses on immigration, and people who are persuadable and think that immigration is a serious issue are going to look at that and think she did poorly. And that is the environment in which we live. But I do agree that this is a very good thing for her to do, because at this point, she needs to go on as many places as she can, and she needs to get everyone talking about her, because there are no big moments anymore. There are no debates. There are no big events. This is it. And so she needs to go fight for every vote.
Well, there were a lot of bad moments in this interview.
All right, so Congressman, let me play to this point, because immigration was discussed for quite a period of time, right? So Bret started off with this, trying to pinpoint her on the number of people. He went through the horrific stories of the young women who were killed by illegal migrants. She talked about how horrible that is, and she was emoting about that. And then there was this exchange. Let me play it.
When it comes to immigration, you supported allowing immigrants in the country illegally to apply for driver's license, to qualify for free tuition at universities, to be enrolled in free health care. Do you still support those things?
Listen, that was 5 years ago, and I'm very clear that I will follow the law. I have made that statement over and over again, and as Vice President of the United States, that's exactly what I've done, not to mention before.
You chose a running mate, Tim Walz, governor of Minnesota, who signed those very things into state law. So do you support that?
We are very clear, and I am very clear, as is Tim Walz, that we must support and enforce federal law. And that is exactly what we will do.
Okay, there was a pause there. You know, and Bret had laid it out. You know, people in the country illegally could qualify for free tuition, free health care, and driver's licenses. Do you think that sort of pregnant pause mattered, or do you think she recovered well from that?
No, there was no pauses in this that really are of any concern. What matters, and we'll get to you in a second, what matters is that there's only one candidate in this race that has the courage to go on the primary news network of their opposition party, right? We all know collectively at this table, Donald Trump would under no circumstances sit down for an interview with MSNBC for an extended period of time. And we also know for certain that no Republican strategist would have the courage to criticize the leader of their own party for doing that. So as we look at this, right, she took the answer head on, noted for a fact that she wants the border closed and Donald Trump wants it open, along with the rest of the political party, the Republicans, who are his blind sycophants on this matter, as on everything else.
I mean, wait a minute here. The vice president, once upon a time, supported taxpayer dollars, your money, my money, your money, all the people who are watching, to go towards people who broke the law coming into our country, to give them driver's license, to pay for tuition when we're struggling to pay for our own children to get a college education. Then her own running mate signed into law in his own state these very things that she's now saying she's now against them. And the American people are supposed to believe that the vice president has now all of a sudden had an epiphany. And all of a sudden, all of her beliefs have magically changed, yet the guy she chose clearly believes these things. And you're flipping it to Republicans?
No, I'm merely noting. And again, very nice job dodging my point. Very nice job dodging my point. Donald Trump wants the border open. Vice President wants it closed.
No one believes
the
that.
vice president took.
Where do you get that? I don't think anybody in this
polls.
country thinks he wants it open and she
Oh
wants
my
it
God!
closed.
If Donald Trump for a second wanted the border closed during this campaign, he would have gotten behind that bipartisan piece of legislation. We all know that collectively, the Republican Party wants this as a political wedge issue. And look, I went down to the border 5 years ago as a member of Congress when Donald Trump was president and saw that it was in massive crisis at that point, that Donald Trump was separating scared mothers from their children. At that point, 5 years ago, this
Okay.
was a massive issue and a massive disaster under his
And
presidency as well.
and if the current president and the vice president who's running to be president wanted to secure the border, they would have in the first 2 years when they had the House, when they had the Senate, they did nothing.